I'm done with the distance. I've said it in my head 100 times before I'm finally saying it like this. I'm done pretending the space between us is fine. I'm done acting like time zones and silence and patience are romantic. I'm done convincing myself that distance is just part of the process. It was, but it's not anymore. Because at some point, distance stops being noble and starts becoming painful. And I feel that now. There was a time when the separation felt necessary. We were building, growing, becoming stronger on our own. I told myself, this is good, this is discipline, this is preparation. And it was. But preparation has an expiration date. There comes a moment when growth isn't about staying apart, it's about stepping forward. And I'm there. I wake up some mornings and the first thing I feel isn't ambition, it's absence. Not emptiness, absence. The quiet space beside me that should be yours. The moments at the end of long days when I want to look at you and say, we're doing this together. The victories that feel half celebrated, the burdens that feel heavier because I'm carrying them solo. I used to believe I could endure distance indefinitely if the outcome was worth it. But I don't want to endure anymore. I want to experience with you. I want the mundane with you, the quiet mornings, the late night conversations when we're too tired to filter ourselves, the grocery store runs, the disagreements that end in understanding instead of silence across miles. I don't just want the idea of us. I want the proximity of us. There's something about physical presence that changes everything. When you're in the same room, misunderstandings dissolve faster. When you can see someone's eyes, hear the softness in their voice, feel the steadiness of their presence, everything feels grounded. Distance makes things fragile. Presence makes things real. And I want real. I don't want to text you about my day. I want to sit across from you and watch your reactions. I don't want to say goodnight through a screen. I want to reach over and pull you closer. I don't want to plan a future across miles. I want to build in the same space. I used to think the distance was proof of our strength. Now I think closing it is. Because strength isn't just enduring separation, it's making bold moves when it's time. And it's time. I don't want to wait for the perfect moment. I don't want to wait until every detail is polished. I don't want to keep telling myself soon. I want to say now. I'm not running toward you out of desperation. I'm moving toward you out of certainty. Certainty that you matter. Certainty that this connection deserves more than digital maintenance. Certainty that love, if it's real, deserves proximity. There are risks in closing the distance. Of course there are. It means change. It means sacrifice. It means stepping into unknown territory. But staying apart carries its own risk. The risk of slowly normalizing separation, the risk of letting the gap become comfortable, the risk of getting used to missing each other. I refuse to get used to missing you. I refuse to let distance become our identity. If we are going to build something lasting, it cannot exist only in conversations and imagination. It has to exist in shared space. Shared routines, shared challenges, shared breath. I need to see how you move in your world. I need you to see how I move in mine. I need our worlds to overlap, not eventually, soon. Because the more I think about it, the more I realize something simple. I don't just want you in my future. I want you in my present, right here, right now. There will never be a perfectly convenient time to close the distance. Life will always present reasons to wait. But love, if it's intentional, sometimes requires movement. So I'm moving. I'm done counting miles. Done calculating logistics endlessly. Done pretending patience alone is enough. Patience got us here. Action will take us forward. And when I say I'm coming, I don't mean recklessly. I mean intentionally. I mean thoughtfully. I mean with a plan, with clarity, with commitment. I'm not coming to test the waters. I'm coming to build, to see you face to face, to learn you without pixels between us, to figure out what daily life feels like when we're no longer separated by geography. Because if we are going to become husband and wife one day, distance cannot be permanent. It has to be temporary. And temporary things eventually end. So let this be the ending of the distance, not the ending of patience, not the ending of growth, but the ending of separation. I need you, not in a dependent way, not in a weak way, in a grounded way, in a partnership way, in a this makes sense way. I need you beside me, not just in my thoughts, not just in my phone, beside me. And I'm coming, not because I'm tired, not because I'm lonely, but because I'm ready to close the gap, ready to turn words into presence, ready to transform one day into now. The distance served its purpose. It made us stronger individually, but I don't want to stay strong separately. I want us strong together, so I'm done with the distance. I need you, and I'm coming. I'm done with the distance. I said it once, but I need to say it again because repetition makes things real. I'm done waking up in one place while you wake up somewhere else, knowing that the only thing connecting us in that moment is a signal traveling through air. I'm done measuring our relationship in calls and countdowns and next time I see you. I'm done living in the space between visits. There was a season where distance felt noble. It felt like proof that what we had was strong enough to survive anything. We learned patience. We learned communication. We learned how to talk things through without slamming doors or walking away physically. We matured in ways most couples never have to, and I'm grateful for that. But strength built in separation isn't meant to remain separated forever. I don't want to become experts at surviving apart. I want to become experts at living together. There's a difference. Surviving apart is about endurance. It's about managing expectations, scheduling calls, staying calm when plans shift. It's about reassurance through words. It's about trust without physical proof. Living together is about presence. It's about small touches in passing. It's about seeing the other person's face when they're tired. It's about feeling their mood before they even say anything. It's about solving problems in the same room instead of through delayed responses. I don't just want to survive anymore. I want to live this. There are moments lately when I feel the distance more than before. It used to feel manageable. Now it feels loud. Not because we're weaker, because we're stronger. The stronger we become, the more unnatural the separation feels. When something is fragile, distance can protect it. But when something is steady, distance starts to feel like an obstacle. And I don't want obstacles between us that don't have to be there. I want to see how you move through your day. I want to know what your morning energy is like without asking. I want to see the way you focus when you're working. I want to be able to show up when you've had a hard day instead of sending comfort through a screen. There's a difference between hearing I'm okay and seeing that someone isn't. Distance hides nuance. Presence reveals truth. And I want truth. Not curated, not scheduled, not filtered by Wi-Fi connection. Real. I want to argue in the same space. Not because I crave conflict, but because I want to see how we repair face to face. I want to learn how your voice softens when you're trying not to cry. I want you to see how my frustration isn't anger, just stress. Those things are easier to understand when you're looking into someone's eyes. Distance forces interpretation. Presence offers clarity. And I'm craving clarity. There have been nights when I've stared at the ceiling thinking about how strange it is that the person I care about most isn't physically here. How weird it is that the person I plan a future with is still a plane ride away. How unnatural it feels that something so emotionally close can be geographically far. I'm not angry about it. I'm just finished with it. Finished with the idea that this is just how it has to be. Because it doesn't have to be forever. We can change this. Yes, it will require sacrifice. Maybe relocation. Maybe career adjustments. Maybe stepping into unfamiliar environments. But what is love if it never requires movement? I don't want comfort if comfort means distance. I don't want stability if stability means separation. I want courage. I want the kind of decision that says, you matter enough for me to rearrange things, because you do. I don't need constant excitement. I don't need grand gestures. I need proximity. I need to feel like you're part of my everyday life, not an event in it. Right now, seeing you feels like an event, planned, anticipated, counted down to. And those moments are beautiful, but I don't want you to be an event. I want you to be normal. Normal in the best way. Normal like your shoes by the door. Normal like your voice in the kitchen. Normal like reaching over and knowing you're there. I want us arguing about what to cook, not about whose schedule aligns for the next visit. I want us dealing with real-life friction, not long-distance frustration. And here's something honest. Distance can sometimes hide incompatibility. It can smooth over things because you're not in each other's daily space. But I'm not afraid of discovering reality. I'd rather know fully than idealize from afar. If we're going to build something lasting, it has to survive proximity. And I believe it will. That's why I'm coming. Not to escape the distance emotionally, but to confront it physically. To test daily life. To see what it feels like to share space consistently. To build rhythms together instead of apart. I want to know how we handle mornings when one of us is in a bad mood. I want to know how we divide responsibilities. I want to know how we decompress at night. These are not romantic details, but they are foundational ones. Marriage isn't built on airport reunions. It's built on daily routines. And I'm ready to step into that. There's a shift that happens when you decide you're done waiting for ideal timing. You realize that waiting can become a habit. That patience, while valuable, can also become avoidance. I don't want to avoid the next step because it's inconvenient. I want to move because it's right. When I say I need you, I don't mean I can't function without you. I mean, I don't want to keep functioning separately. I want collaboration. I want shared responsibility. I want to walk into a room and know you're there. Distance has taught us communication. Now I want to learn coexistence. Distance has taught us trust. Now I want to build shared environment. Distance has taught us longing. Now I want to live fulfillment. I imagine the day I close the distance. The first time, it doesn't feel temporary. The first time we know that we don't have to count days until goodbye. That thought alone feels relieving. No more countdowns. No more I wish you were here, just here. I know it won't solve everything. Being in the same place won't magically remove stress or challenges, but at least we'll face them side by side. And that matters that I want to normalize loving someone from afar. I want to normalize loving someone from across the room, so I'm done with the distance. Not emotionally dramatic, just decisively. I need you in my daily life, and I'm coming not as a visitor, not as a temporary solution, but as someone ready to build something real, grounded, and shared. No more separation as a storyline. Now it's time for presence. I'm done with the distance. I know I've said it before, but now it feels different. It doesn't feel like a statement born from emotion. It feels like a decision born from clarity. There's a shift that happens when longing turns into resolve. At first you miss someone softly. You adjust. You adapt. You make space for the absence. You convince yourself it's temporary, necessary, strategic. You tell yourself that strong people can endure separation. But then one day endurance stops feeling noble and starts feeling unnecessary. That's where I am. I don't want to endure anymore. I want to experience. There are moments now when I imagine you walking through a door, not for a visit, not for a few days, not with a return ticket in your pocket, but walking in as someone who belongs there. Someone who doesn't have to leave. Someone whose presence isn't scheduled. And that image feels right. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel reckless. It feels overdue. Distance has taught me patience, yes. It has forced me to become intentional with words. It has made me careful with misunderstandings. It has strengthened trust in ways that proximity never would have required. But distance has also taken something. It has taken spontaneity. It has taken physical reassurance. It has taken the simple comfort of knowing you're close enough to reach. There are nights when I don't want to explain my stress over a call. I just want you to notice it, to look at me and say, "You've had a long day." I want the kind of connection that doesn't require translation. Screens are limited. Calls are scheduled. Messages are typed carefully. Real life is messy. Real life is immediate. And I want real life with you. I want to see how you react when I cook something new and it fails. I want to see your face when I tell a bad joke. I want to know what your silence feels like in the same room, not across miles. There's an intimacy in shared space that distance simply cannot replicate. I'm not naive. I know closing the distance won't suddenly make everything perfect. In fact, it will introduce new challenges. Habits will collide. Personal rhythms will clash. We'll have to negotiate space, time, expectations. But that's the point. Growth doesn't happen in controlled environments forever. It happens when two lives intertwine in reality. I don't want us to be great at visiting each other. I want us to be great at living together. There's a difference. When we visit, everything feels heightened. We're on our best behavior. We savor moments because they're limited. We avoid certain topics because we don't want to waste precious time. But what happens when time isn't limited? What happens when we don't have to rush affection or compress conversations into a few days? That's what I want to find out. I don't want a relationship built around airports. I want a relationship built around everyday mornings. Distance creates a strange illusion. It makes you feel deeply connected yet physically detached. You can know someone's thoughts, dreams, fears, and still not know how they move through a room. You can love someone's voice and still not know the way they sigh when they're exhausted. I want to know those details. I want to know the version of you that isn't curated for a call, the version that's tired, the version that's distracted, the version that doesn't always have the perfect response. And I want you to know that version of me too. If we're serious about building something lasting, we can't just love the long-distance version of each other. We have to love the everyday version. I realized something else too. Distance makes you cautious. You hesitate before conflict because you don't want to risk disconnection. You overthink your tone because you can't immediately correct it with a touch or a glance. You sometimes swallow minor frustrations because you don't want to create tension across miles. But real partnership requires full honesty, and honesty feels safer in shared space. I want to be able to disagree and then sit beside you afterward, not hang up and stare at a silent phone. I want to be able to resolve things without delay. I want our connection to be grounded in physical reality, not just emotional intensity. There's something powerful about choosing proximity. It's vulnerable. It says, I'm willing to let you see all of me daily. It says, I'm willing to adjust my life for us. It says, you matter enough to rearrange comfort. And that's where I am. You matter enough. I'm not coming because I'm lonely. I'm not coming because I can't handle distance anymore emotionally. I'm coming because I want alignment. I want our lives to stop running parallel and start merging. I want shared routines, shared decisions, shared responsibilities. I want to experience the ordinary with you. Ordinary love is underrated. It's not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's quiet and steady. It's making dinner together after long days. It's sitting in silence without needing to fill it. It's arguing about small things and laughing 5 minutes later. That's what I want. Distance has amplified our feelings. It has made everything intense because every interaction carries weight. But intensity alone isn't sustainability. Consistency alone isn't sustainability. Consistency is. And consistency requires closeness. I'm done with the distance not because it failed us, but because it has done its job. It tested us. It strengthened us. Now it's time to transition. I don't want to build a future that starts one day when we're in the same place. I want to build now. I want to wake up knowing we're navigating life side by side. Yes, it will require planning. Yes, it will require sacrifices. Yes, it will demand courage. But what is love without action? At some point, words have to become movement. Promises have to become proximity. Plans have to become proximity. Plans have to become presence. And I'm ready for that step. I imagine the moment the distance closes for good. Not the dramatic reunion. Not the airport embrace. I imagine the quiet realization a week later when it hits us. We don't have to say goodbye anymore. That's the moment I'm chasing. The normalcy of being together. No more countdowns. No more scheduled affection. No more temporary stays. Just us. In the same place. Building something tangible. I'm done loving you from afar. I want to love you up close. I want to see what our life feels like when it's not divided by geography. Because if we are meant to build something permanent, then distance cannot be permanent. It has to end. And I'm ready to end it. I need you. Not as a concept, not as a future possibility, but as a daily presence. And I'm coming. Not halfway, not uncertain, but fully ready to close the gap and finally live what we've been talking about for so long. I'm done with the distance. Not in a dramatic way, not in a frustrated way. In a grounded, steady, undeniable way. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from arguing or falling apart. It comes from holding something strong across too many miles for too long. It comes from loving deeply, but always having to pause before touch. It comes from finishing conversations with, I wish you were here, instead of simply being here. I don't resent the distance. It shaped us. It tested our discipline. It made us talk through things most couples ignore. It forced clarity where proximity would have allowed distraction. In many ways, it purified what we have. But something can serve its purpose and still need to end. Distance has served its purpose. It proved that what we feel isn't shallow. It proved that we don't crumble when we can't see each other every day. It proved that our connection isn't dependent on convenience. Now I want to prove something else. That we can thrive in the same space, that our connection isn't just sustainable across miles, it's sustainable across mornings, across moods, across real life. There are moments now when I notice how unnatural it feels that the person I care about most isn't within reach. I'll finish something meaningful, a long day, a difficult decision, a small victory, and instinctively think about telling you. And then I'll remember I'll be telling you later. Not now, not in the same room, not with your reaction unfolding in real time. There's a lag in distance. Emotion travels slower. Understanding takes longer. Even reassurance is delayed. And I don't want delayed anymore. I want immediate. I want to see your expression the moment I say something unexpected. I want to catch your subtle smile before you even realize you're smiling. I want to feel the shift in the room when one of us is stressed and adjust without needing to ask. Screens flatten presence. They reduce depth to pixels. You can hear a voice but not feel its warmth. You can see a face but not sense the energy in the room. And I crave energy. I crave the shared atmosphere of two people living in proximity. I want to learn your rhythms in real time. The way you wake up slowly or quickly. The way you organize your space. The way you decompress after a long day. These details don't show up fully in long-distance love. Long-distance love highlights longing. Close love reveals layers. I'm ready for layers. I'm ready to see how we handle boredom together. Because love isn't built on excitement alone. It's built on how two people sit in the ordinary and still choose each other. I want to experience the ordinary with you. The quiet Sundays, the unremarkable Tuesdays, the nights where nothing special happens but we're still content because we're side by side. Distance turns every meeting into an event, but I don't want you to be an event. I want you to be integrated into my everyday life. I don't want our connection to revolve around flights, calendars, and countdowns. I don't want to feel like our relationship is scheduled between responsibilities. I want it woven into everything. There's something humbling about admitting that independence has limits. I am capable alone. I function well alone. I am built strength alone. But capability isn't the goal. Connection is. And I don't want to keep proving that I can handle life separately. I want to build life together. I've realized something deeper too. Distance keeps you slightly guarded. Even when you trust, even when you love fully, there's a subtle part of you that holds back because the other person isn't physically there. You soften fully when you know someone is present, when they can see your tired eyes, when they can hear the sigh before you speak, when they can place a hand on your back without needing explanation. That's the kind of safety I want, not the safety of digital reassurance, the safety of presence. I want to argue and then sit beside you afterward. I want to disagree and then feel the warmth of reconciliation without waiting for a signal to reconnect. I want to see how quickly tension dissolves when there's no physical separation reinforcing it. Distance can magnify misunderstandings. Presence minimizes them. And I'm ready to minimize. I'm not naive. I know proximity will introduce friction we haven't faced yet. We'll discover habits that irritate each other. We'll learn how different our routines are. We'll have to negotiate space, expectations, personal boundaries, but that's the real work. That's the work that builds something lasting. It's easy to idealize someone when you don't share daily space. It's harder and more meaningful to love them fully in the everyday. And I want meaningful. When I say I'm coming, I don't mean impulsively. I mean deliberately. I mean thoughtfully. I mean with intention to integrate our lives, not just visit them. I don't want to be a temporary presence in your world. I want to be part of its structure. I want to know your city not as a guest, but as someone who belongs. I want you to know mine the same way. I want our environments to overlap until there's no longer your world and my world, just ours. There's a difference between talking about the future and stepping into it. We've talked. Now I want to step, because love that stays theoretical too long begins to feel suspended. And I don't want suspended, I want grounded. Grounded in shared mornings, grounded in shared decisions, grounded in shared responsibility. There are nights when I imagine closing the distance permanently, not the dramatic first day, not the big moment. I imagine the third week, the fifth week, the day when it feels normal, when we wake up and it doesn't even occur to us that we once lived apart. That normalcy feels like peace. No more packing bags, no more goodbye rituals, no more pretending we're okay with separation because we're strong. We are strong, but strength isn't meant to be displayed in separation forever. Sometimes strength is displayed in bold movement, in choosing to rearrange life for love, in risking comfort for connection, in saying, enough waiting. And that's where I am. I don't want to build a relationship that exists primarily in anticipation. I want one that exists in reality. I want to see what we're like when stress hits and we're in the same room. I want to see how we recover. I want to see how we celebrate small wins. I want to see how we handle exhaustion. Marriage, the kind we talk about, is not built on airport reunions. It's built on daily presence. And I'm done postponing daily presence. The distance has made me certain of something. I don't just love you in moments. I love you in intention, in direction, in vision. Now I want that love to have physical space to grow. I want to look across the room and see you there. Not through a screen, not in memory. There. I'm done with the distance because I want more than longing. I want life. And life happens in proximity, so I'm coming. Not recklessly, not emotionally unstable, but decisively. Because at some point, love stops being about enduring miles and starts being about closing them. And I'm ready to close them. No more surviving apart. It's time to live together. Not because it broke us, not because it weakened us, but because it has reached its limit. There is a quiet point in every long separation where longing stops feeling poetic and starts feeling heavy, where patience stops feeling noble and starts feeling like postponement, where strength is no longer measured by how long you can endure space, but by how boldly you're willing to close it. And I'm at that point. For a long time, I told myself this distance had meaning, that it was refining us, teaching us communication, building trust in ways that proximity never would. And it did. It forced us to speak clearly, to articulate feelings instead of assuming them, to resolve conflict through words instead of body language. But words, no matter how sincere, are still air. I want presence. I want weight. I want real. There's something about finishing a long day and not having you in the same room that feels incomplete now. I've learned to handle stress alone. I've learned to celebrate alone. I've learned to sit in silence alone. But I don't want to anymore. I don't want independence to be my only option. I want interdependence. I want to feel the comfort of shared breath in the same space. I want to see how your shoulders drop when you relax. I want you to see when I'm pretending to be fine before I even admit it. Distance hides subtlety. Presence reveals it, and I crave revelation. I don't want our connection to exist primarily in anticipation. I don't want our happiest moments to be defined by arrivals and departures. I don't want airports to be the emotional high points of our relationship. I want grocery stores. I want laundry days. I want random Tuesdays where nothing significant happens, but we still feel connected because we're near each other. Long distance is intense. Every meeting feels heightened. Every goodbye feels dramatic. But intensity is not sustainability. Routine is. And I'm ready for routine. There's a version of love that thrives on longing. It's beautiful, but it's incomplete. It survives on imagination and memory. It stretches across miles and holds tight through screens. But I don't want survival anymore. I want shared reality. I want to learn the unfiltered version of you. The version that doesn't prepare for calls. The version that doesn't have time to frame responses. The version that's tired, distracted, imperfect. And I want you to see that version of me too. If we are going to build something permanent, it has to survive proximity. Distance allows mystery. Proximity demands honesty. And I choose honesty. There are risks in closing the distance. I won't pretend there are. When two lives merge physically, friction appears. Habits clash. Space becomes shared. Sounds becomes visible. But friction isn't failure. It's adjustment. And adjustment is growth. I don't want to keep adjusting my schedule to match time zones. I want to adjust my life to match yours. I don't want to ask, when can we talk? I want to say, let's sit down. I don't want to miss moments because they happen outside a call. I want to witness them. There's something deeply grounding about being able to look at someone when they're overwhelmed and simply exist beside them. No dramatic words, no elaborate reassurance, just presence. Presence communicates in ways language can't. Distance makes you strategic. Presence lets you be natural. And I'm tired of strategic love. I want organic love. I've noticed how easy it is to normalize separation if you let it linger long enough. You get used to the routine of distance. You become efficient at managing it. You accept it as part of your identity, but I refuse to let long distance define us permanently. It was a season, not a lifestyle. Seasons change and this one needs to. When I say I need you, I don't mean dependency. I mean alignment. I mean partnership that exists in shared space. I mean decisions made side by side. I mean life built in the same environment. I want to know what it feels like to argue and not worry about the signal cutting out. I want to disagree and then sit next to you until it softens. I want resolution that happens in real time. Distance stretches resolution. Presence accelerates it. And I want acceleration. I want to wake up and not feel the gap. I want to go to sleep knowing you're there. Not on a screen, not in a message. Not in a message. I imagine the moment when the distance officially ends. Not the dramatic reunion, not the first embrace. I imagine the quiet week after, the moment when it hits us that there's no departure scheduled. That peace feels powerful. No more countdowns, no more temporary stays, no more dividing life into visits, just integration. Integration is what I'm chasing. I want our routines to intertwine. I want our responsibilities to overlap. I want our spaces to merge. I don't want to be a guest in your world. I want to belong in it, and I want you to belong in mine. That requires movement. It requires courage. It requires stepping out of comfort. But love without courage becomes stagnant. And I refuse stagnation. I've built strength in solitude. Now I want to build strength in partnership. I've proven I can function independently. Now I want to thrive collectively. Distance has shown me how deeply I value you. Now I want to show you through action. At some point, love has to transition from endurance to embodiment, from patience to presence, from waiting to walking. And I'm walking. I'm coming toward you not out of desperation, but out of clarity. Not because I can't handle distance, but because I don't want to anymore. There's a difference. One is weakness, the other is decision. And this is a decision. I don't want a future that begins once we're finally in the same place. I want that place now. I want to build the ordinary foundation that long-lasting love rests on. I want to discover the details that only proximity reveals. Because romance is beautiful. But routine is powerful. And I want powerful. I'm done loving you from afar. I want to love you up close. I want to feel what life is like when our stories stop running parallel and start merging. I want to close the gap completely. No more surviving miles. No more accepting separation as normal. It's time for presence. It's time for shared space. It's time to turn distance into memory instead of reality. I'm done with the distance. I need you here, and I'm coming. Not in a dramatic emotional rush. Not because something broke. Not because we failed. But because I feel it in my bones now. The season of separation has completed its work. Distance taught us how to communicate. It stripped away laziness in conversation. It forced honesty. It made us articulate what many couples assume. It showed us that connection can survive time zones and empty rooms and long nights without physical presence. But what distance built, presence must now sustain. And I don't want to keep building in separation when we're meant to build in alignment. There was a time when missing you felt romantic, when longing felt deep and poetic, when the space between us felt like proof that our bond was strong. And it was. We endured what many wouldn't. We chose each other even when convenience wasn't on our side. But endurance is not the destination, it's preparation. And I feel prepared. I've learned how to handle my own stress. I've learned how to communicate my needs clearly. I've learned how to sit in discomfort without reacting impulsively. I've grown. You've grown. Now I want us to grow in the same space. There are moments now when I realize something simple and heavy at the same time. The person I love most in this world is not within reach. Not in the next room. Not across the couch, but across distance. And that feels unnatural. Because love isn't meant to exist only in anticipation. It's meant to exist in presence. It's meant to exist in shared oxygen, shared silence, shared routines. I don't want to keep experiencing life in fragments, my day here, your day there, connecting later through summaries. I want overlapping experiences. I want to know what your laugh sounds like when it's not traveling through a speaker. I want to notice the small expressions that get lost on a screen. I want to sit next to you after a long day without needing to explain why I'm quiet. Distance keeps things slightly suspended. There's always a pause between feeling and touch, between frustration and resolution, between joy and shared celebration. Presence collapses that pause, and I'm ready for that collapse. I'm ready to experience love in its full dimension. Not curated, not scheduled, not rationed, full. I imagine waking up in the same place and not having to calculate when we'll see each other next. I imagine finishing dinner and not having to say goodbye. I imagine disagreements that resolve in minutes instead of hours because we're in the same room. I want to learn you in daily life, not the version of you that prepares for a call, the version of you that exists in routine, the way you move in a kitchen, the way you handle stress when it's immediate, the way you decompress without thinking about a camera angle or connection quality. And I want you to know that version of me too. Because if we're going to be husband and wife one day, and I believe we will, then our love must transition from long-distance resilience to daily coexistence. Marriage isn't sustained by longing. It's sustained by proximity, by shared chores, by shared decisions, by shared space. And I'm ready for that responsibility. Closing the distance isn't just about geography. It's about stepping fully into vulnerability. It's about saying, I'm ready for you to see me daily. It's about risking the comfort of controlled interaction for the rawness of reality. Reality is not always polished. It's messy. It's tiring, it's repetitive, but it's also beautiful, because repetition builds rhythm, and rhythm builds stability. I don't want you to be an event in my life. I want you to be integrated into it. No more counting down to visits. No more squeezing emotions into limited time frames. No more goodbye rituals that leave a hollow silence afterward. I want normal. I want the comfort of your presence being ordinary. The sound of your footsteps not being rare. The warmth of your hand not being temporary. Distance has kept us strong in longing. Now I want us strong in living. There's courage in endurance, but there's greater courage in action, in making the decision to rearrange life for love, in choosing alignment over convenience, in stepping towards something even when it demands sacrifice. Yes, it will require adjustments. Yes, it will require compromise. Yes, it will require compromise. Yes, it will require change, but I don't fear change when it's toward you, because the alternative is staying comfortable in separation, and I refuse comfort that keeps us apart. I want the friction of shared space, the growth of shared responsibility, the clarity that only proximity reveals. If there are habits that irritate us, let us discover them. If there are rhythms we need to synchronize, let us learn them. If there are differences we must navigate, let us navigate them side by side, because that's real love, non-idealized from afar, experienced up close. Distance has been a chapter, not the story, and I'm closing the chapter I want to walk into a room and know you're there without scheduling it. I want to feel your presence when I'm overwhelmed instead of reaching for a phone. I want our lives to stop running parallel and start merging. I want to build routines together, to make decisions together, to argue and reconcile in the same hour, to celebrate small wins without delay. I want our love to have physical weight, weight that grounds us, weight that stabilizes us, weight that reminds us we're not alone in this world. There's something profoundly peaceful about knowing someone is nearby, not because you need them every second, but because their presence changes the atmosphere. And I want that atmosphere with you. I want the quiet comfort of knowing I don't have to navigate life alone anymore, not conceptually, physically. Distance made us deliberate. Now I want us dynamic, moving through life together, adjusting in real time, learning through experience instead of imagination. I'm not running toward you impulsively. I'm walking toward you intentionally, with clarity, with commitment, with readiness. I don't need grand gestures. I need shared mornings. I need shared responsibility. I need shared space. And I'm ready to create that. Because love that stays distant too long begins to feel incomplete, not broken. Incomplete. And I don't want incomplete. I want whole. Whole means proximity. Whole means presence. Whole means turning words into movement. I don't want to look back years from now and realize we stayed apart longer than necessary out of fear of inconvenience. I want to look back and say we were bold, that we chose courage over comfort, that we chose closeness over convenience, that we didn't let distance define us longer than it had to. I'm done with the distance because I'm done with almost together, almost integrated, almost living the same life. I want fully present, fully aligned, fully building, and that requires action. It requires stepping into the same space and allowing life to unfold without miles in between. It requires trusting that what we built in separation will flourish in unity, and I trust that. Because we didn't survive this distance accidentally, we survived it intentionally. Now I want to live intentionally too. No more stretching conversations across time zones. No more pretending that pixels are enough. No more normalizing the ache of goodbye. It's time to normalize hello. Daily hello. Ordinary hello. The kind of hello that doesn't feel temporary. I'm done with the distance, not angrily, not emotionally overwhelmed, but decisively. I need you in my present, not just my future. I need our lives intertwined, not just emotionally connected. I need to see what love feels like when it breathes the same air. And I'm coming, not halfway, not hesitantly, but fully, ready to close the gap, ready to step into proximity, ready to transform longing into living, ready to turn miles into memory, ready to build something that no longer survives across distance, but thrives in closeness. The distance had its purpose. Now it's time for presence. And I choose presence with you fully.
Growth doesn't happen in controlled environments forever. It happens when two lives intertwine in reality. I don't want us to be great as visiting each other. I want us to be great at living together. There's a difference. When we visit, everything feels heightened. We are on our best behavior. We savor moments because they are limited. We avoid certain topics because we don't want to waste precious time. But what happens when time isn't limited? What happens when we don't have to rush affection or compress conversation into a few days? That's what I want to find out. I don't want a relationship built around airports. I want a relationship built around everyone. I want to know those details. I want to know the version of that isn't curated for us of call. The version that tired, the version that distracted, the version that doesn't always have the perfect response.